For today's video, I thought we'd talk about a type of luxury shopping that I've not yet covered on my channel, so better late than never, and that is the world of luxury outlet shopping. Now, I myself love a good deal, so when you imagine the scene of excess designer clothing from last season at jaw-droppingly low prices, this just sounds like a dream come true, and you'd be silly to miss out on such good deals, right? And look, while I do love to shop at my usual department stores and flagships, I can't deny that there is just something about searching for the perfect deal that I just love. And so I have partaken in the odd trip to the likes of Bicester Village here in the UK, as well as other luxury outlets, physical and online as well. And I usually come home with a few good deals, to say the least, because some of these designer goods are so discounted and at such a fraction of their original price that it makes luxury brands so much more accessible to the average consumer that could only really dream of getting some of these items. And if you're getting items from 30 up to maybe even 80 or 90% off of their retail price, it is such a steal, and it just makes all of these brands that seem so daunting in their flagships so much more accessible. And that is a very compelling proposition for a lot of people that do want to try designer and luxury goods, but without paying hefty price tags for items that, let's face it, will end up being last season's news and will probably stop being worn. So in that way, it's a very sustainable practice for them in terms of their wallets. And it's also sustainable for the brands as well, because they're able to shift stock that would otherwise be surplus or potentially even burnt. And I have two items here that are my personal favorites that were from the outlets. I think they were both from Bicester Village. And so the first one that I want to show you is actually a bag. It's a bag that you guys probably haven't seen very recently. I don't use it as often as I like, but it's still a favorite nonetheless, and I would never sell it. And it's my Givenchy iconic Antigona bag. It's in the small size, but looks anything but small. It's a classic silhouette. It's a classic style for the Givenchy fashion house. They've been making them for years and they will continue to. And I think in this beige colorway with the patent leather, it's so hard wearing. And actually it's very hard to find classic looking and colored items like this in outlets for a steal of the price. I think I got this one actually for £900, and now these handbags go for £2,000-3,000. And so I feel like I saved about 40% at the time. I think this is the last one in stock, at least in this size. And I just remember actually it was from a previous season to when I was looking for it. And I just thought, let's just check out the Givenchy boutique while I'm there. And lo and behold, they had it. So I bought it within 5 minutes. It was like the quickest sale ever. And I just couldn't believe my luck. And similarly for the other item that I want to show you, it's another iconic item to the fashion house, and this is the Acne Velocite jacket. It's this gorgeous sheepskin. I cannot believe I was able to get what is usually a £2,000 jacket for under £1,000. And this is a coat that I've been eyeing up for the longest time. It was of course everywhere, wasn't it, in the black version a few years ago. But it's not just for the style that I like it, it's for the utilitarian nature. It is incredibly warm. For the winters that we have in the UK, it is perfect. And when I travel, this is the coat to bring. And of course the story again is that it was like the last one there in my size. And I just love the buzz that you get when you find an item that you've always wanted for a fraction of the price. And of course these items that I've just shown you are just two examples of the many other items that I've gotten from outlets, outlet villages, stores, online, that I've gotten great deals for. And of course, going hand in hand with being able to find a good deal is that you're often able to find items that have gotten away, ones from previous collections that you weren't quick enough to get, or maybe couldn't justify, and now you're able to find them in the swathes of luxury items and goodies that are in front of you for a fraction of the price. I think the fact that outlet shopping is like a full day experience, you can get your friends, your family to join in. I love that you can make a day of it, you know, especially with the restaurants and other VIP experiences there as well. It just feels like a really nice way of spending time and I guess hard-earned money on things that you really, really want. And it's a great way to hit off those birthday and Christmas presents while you're at it. And so with all of those pros, it's really hard for people to imagine what could possibly be the catch when it comes to luxury outlet shopping. But actually, when I started digging deeper into this topic, I actually stumbled upon some quite eye-opening articles and also first-hand accounts from individuals that shed a lot of light on some of the questionable practices, shall we say, within the industry. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, because although there are a lot of redeeming qualities about shopping at luxury outlets. There are also a lot of dirty truths about the industry, and I think it's really important to cover some of these topics here today with you so that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into and that it might not be everything that it's cracked up to be. I suppose what I mean by that, first and foremost, is that not all of the items sold at outlets are genuine bargains. While there are, of course, many items that are in these outlets from luxury brands that are from their runways and from their previous season, some actually have lines that are manufactured specifically for outlets, which obviously raises questions about the authenticity and actual value of these items. And plus, I think there's just a risk of falling prey to deceptive pricing tactics. And there's plenty of accounts actually where items are falsely advertised as discounted when they were never actually sold at full price to begin with. And it honestly just feels like you're playing a game of retail roulette because you never actually know what you're really getting. I've even seen this myself when going to places like Bicester Village. They even have items that are on full retail price that are in current seasons, but you're not getting any additional discount. So it honestly puts into question, why are you buying at these outlets in the first place if the items were not actually previous season, if they are lower quality, or if they're manufactured for the actual outlets themselves, and if they're selling current season items or non-discounted items, what is the point of buying at outlet stores? And actually, just as a quick example of this, there was actually a class action lawsuit a few years ago against Kate Spade, which is obviously a brand that features a lot in these outlet stores, and the complaint that was alleged there was that Kate Spade was actually advertising fake discounts inside its outlets, and so they were tricking customers basically into believing that they were getting a steal when in reality they were actually paying more than they should have been. And of course, it's not just Kate Spade that is guilty of practices like this, because Michael Kors has actually had a similar lawsuit where they were actually facing legal action for misleading pricing practices. And actually, there are so many reports that suggest that some outlet stores are even selling lower quality items and potentially even counterfeit goods. So it really feels like it's a shopping minefield out there. And actually, let me just bring up one of such expose articles for you here. It's a little bit older, it's from 2014, but this is just one example of many that are even more current. But this is an article from the Daily Mail. Look, this is still a news source regardless of your opinion on it, and it gives you a lot more information and real life examples of some of the shady practices that have been made. So here you can see with Michael Kors in question, they have been outed because they have essentially gotten the same kind of silhouette of bag from the main store, which is, as you can see here, £240, and it has, these logo details, buckles, even dust bags and things. But actually what they were selling in store was a different bag, which was manufactured differently and obviously cheaper. It doesn't have a dust bag, the clasps and things are of lower quality, they're not leather trimmed. So you can see some of these practices are quite shady, and actually what you're getting is not actually the designer item themselves, you're getting a lower quality knockoff, if you will. And then you actually see further down, there's some footages actually where Channel 4 actually sent dispatchers to go undercover in Bicester Village. I won't play this now, but you can peruse in your own time. There are items here that are a lot more subtle than the Michael Kors example, like the Uggs, where their details look pretty similar, but it's actually the construction that is a lot cheaper. And so with these Uggs, they actually have a rubberized plastic, whereas in contrast to the actual high quality version of the Ugg boot, they actually have water resistance and longer lasting materials in comparison. So there's a lot of details by which you would easily miss, I think, if you don't know the brands inside and out, you don't know the construction, which, who would, you would just automatically assume that you're getting a great deal. But this report, amongst many, many others, definitely indicate that there is a little bit of foul play here. And I myself, when I've been to Bicester Village and other outlets abroad as well, have noticed that there's a lot of items which I've just never seen before in previous campaigns or on the catwalk. And I think that Gucci and Prada, from my experience when I bought things like scarves and smaller accessories from them, the quality is definitely a lot lower. You can feel it, you can see it. And even things like the dust bags, some of them are non-existent first of all, but also when you have the carrier bags, they are lower quality and a completely different design than the ones that you actually get from the flagships. So you definitely see that they are saving a lot of money. The experience is a lot different. It also feels a lot more hectic, of course, because it's an outlet. There's a lot of people there. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of sales being made, but you don't get that luxury experience. And so, of course, it raises valuable questions then of, number one, to what extent is luxury outlet shopping really that authentic? i.e., are you actually getting the same quality of items that you would in a flagship, but saving money? And further to that, are you actually getting a luxury experience? Because from the bird's eye view, luxury and outlets are quite incongruent. And on top of the fact that you see made for outlet goods, I also personally have observed in my recent visits, maybe like a couple of years ago, that the items are increasingly things that are not very wearable, things that are bold, have crazy colorways, that have crazy designs on them. Not things that are classic anymore, like my Givenchy Antigona or even the colorways of my Acne Velocite jacket. And I think that there is a little bit of a sunk cost fallacy, especially if you are taking an out of town visit to some of these outlets, by which you feel I've made the trip, so I have to go and buy something. But you end up just going away with a lot of tat, in my opinion, things that you didn't really want, things that you didn't really need, but you felt compelled to buy. And I think that's not a great place to be either, to settle on items just because you think psychologically that they are marked down. But as with this article, as with many other examples, there is instances by which the employees themselves don't even know what the actual prices of these items were, if they were actually from a store and they just kind of make it up as they go along allegedly, or they were just made for outlets. So again, they're just guessing what the price might have been, but they've actually never stepped foot in a flagship store before. And so you can see there are so many factors at play here when it comes to luxury outlet shopping. Not everything is as it seems. And sure, I've scored myself a few bargains at luxury outlets in the past, and there definitely are a few diamonds in the rough that you can find if you have the patience to, or if you have the luck. But the more that I learn about these questionable practices, the more skeptical I become around luxury outlet shopping. Because I mean, who wants to shell out their hard-earned cash on items that were never meant to be sold at full price in the first place? I mean, call me old-fashioned, but I really believe when it comes to shopping and spending hundreds, maybe even thousands of pounds, there should be a level of transparency and honesty when it comes to marketing these goods. Because on one hand, you've definitely got the allure and somewhat of a guarantee of discounted designer goods, but on the other hand, you've got to navigate through a sea of questionable practices, misleading tactics, and you've got to be quite a discerning buyer when it comes to knowing what was in the previous collection. If you can find it online, for example, my advice is proceed with caution, do your research, read the fine print, maybe even do a little bit of a comparison online, have a list in advance so you don't get distracted as well with the promise of other discounts, and just don't let this idea of bargain hunting blind you from the potential pitfalls. Because at the end of the day, true luxury isn't just about the price tag, it's about quality, it's about authenticity, and it's about trust. And so whether you're shopping at a luxury outlet or a high-end flagship boutique, just remember to stay informed and shop smart. But most of all, buy items that you truly love, that you will truly use, because there is nothing worse than buying something just for the sake of buying. And I think a great way to end this video is with one of my favorite quotes, especially as it pertains to this topic at hand, and that is expensive is cheap and cheap is expensive. Expensive items are cheap because you buy once and you buy right and you use it for the longest time and you're not there to resell it or whatever, and the quality lasts. But cheap can be expensive when you buy lots of items that you don't really truly love, or just because they were cheap, but they are lower quality, you don't authentically like them, maybe you felt a bit of peer pressure from buying it just because you're there with sunk cost fallacy, and they end up being expensive because you never use them. They're basically burning a hole in your wallet because now you can't use the money for something else, and you can't really resell them either if you wanted to ship them because you're losing your money. Again, I'm by no means saying that outlet shopping is something that you shouldn't do, because I have gotten the odd good deal, but I do think you should buy things that you love and not because it's a discount. Personally, for me, I prefer to shop online or in boutiques such as department stores. They're my favorite because I have my own loyalty and they do mid-season sales, which I find are great and compelling propositions anyway. And, you know, I have relationships with certain sales associates, so I like to build on that. Plus, I can find better deals, I feel like, in mid-season sales and other department stores when they're doing events than I feel like I can at outlets. And look, I'm not by no means saying that you can't get lucky, because some outlets have stackable discounts even on the day, as well as even discounts with certain credit cards, like American Express always, for example, has deals with Bicester Village. But I feel like those are few and far between. They're very hard to predict. And also, I'm not just going to take a trip up, which is a few hours, if you will, to go to a Bicester Village or even abroad to an outlet's village just with the promise of buying something. Because if I want something very specific, I'm just going to buy it or wait for a sale. at the actual boutique themselves, because then I do feel like there is an element of sunk cost that you feel like you have to, now that you've made the trip up, buy a lot of tat that you do not need. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Are you a fan of luxury outlets? Will you continue to shop there? But anyways, I will leave this video here. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.